Dr. Barbara Shore, and I want to say hello to all my gorgeous NYP viewers, animal lovers, our pet lovers, and I'm so excited today because I am excited to introduce to you this amazing, amazing lady, Dr. Barbara Shore. And I will start off telling you a bit about her. And then I will also tell you a bit about my experience with her and why she's sitting in front of all of us today. Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Nina. It's so
So
good to
nice
see
to
you.
see you. Okay, so Dr. Barbara Shore has been an animal communicator or intuitive interspecies communicator for more than 30 years, which means she speaks with animals telepathically. She says animals are highly conscious, wise, and loving. And she feels it's a privilege and honor to converse with them in this way and to help people come to a deeper understanding of who animals truly are. Her career began with studying the behavior of captive wolves and coyotes. From there, she became a professional dog trainer for several years. She wanted to broaden her knowledge about animals and to be able to contribute to their health and well being. So she became a veterinarian. You know, it's easier said than done. So she became a veterinarian. It's incredible. That takes a lot of studying. After graduating from veterinary school at Colorado State University, she was accepted in a 3-year residency program in non domestic animal medicine at UC Davis, UC Davis, in conjunction with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. Then she worked in private veterinary practice as well, as with wild animals both in the US and Africa. Now, I want you all to know I am sitting here in Hong Kong, and Dr. Barbara Shore is sitting in a place that I can't wait to visit, Oregon, USA. Oregon is so beautiful, the mountains, the scenery, the vibrations. It's to me, it's considered what I've read about that it's a very spiritual place to be in. So she came to see that she had a different calling to know the animals as souls and work with them on that level. That began her career as an animal communicator, which has been a profound and incredible journey. So her life has been quite an adventure, and the animals have always been her guiding light. She looks forward to sharing what she has learned and to helping you find a deeper connection with the animals we all love. Um, Dr. Barbara Shore has a mission which she will speak about. I want to explain to all of you why I'm here today across from her and talking to all of you. So, Dr. Barbara wrote this book, Soul of the Wild, Intimate Messages from the Hearts and Souls of Elephants and Whales. I read it. It was beautiful because I love pets, and everyone that loves pets mostly, they love animals. And I read it, and I was just, I loved it. It was beautiful. Then I read Soul of the Wild, The Wisdom of the Elephant. I read it. It was beautiful. I was in awe. But you know, when you read these books, it also depends in which state of mind you're in and what your circumstances are at that moment. So, about a year after that, which was actually quite recently in December, I had experienced some huge, challenging personal issues in my life. And I considered myself quite spiritual, and I grew up going to the foothills of the Himalayas and practicing meditation with my master, Swami Rama, along with practicing meditation from him in the Himalayas. I also studied Paramahamsa Yogananda, where he explained in all his books about the metaphysics, about life, spirit, all that. And I thought, with my daily practice of meditation and yoga and breath work, I could get myself out of this real deep, dark state I was in December. But I couldn't. I couldn't. From a deep darkness, it evolved into, this was now, December 2024, which rolled into January 2025. We are right now at the end of April 2025. January 2025, all these crazy thoughts were going through my head, a lot of anxiety, huge tightness in my chest, darkness. I felt very lonely. And I'm sure that a lot of you experienced or have experienced, sadness and trauma or challenging times. So I'm sure a lot of you can understand what it feels like when you're sad and you've tried all the resources that you could. And one night I prayed and I said, God, are you hearing me? Help me. I can't do this alone. I feel so lonely. And this book, somehow my eyes wandered into my room and I saw this book lying not by my bedside. I would lie if I said that to you. It was on a cabinet, and I picked it up and I started reading the book. And it was so profound. It was so profound because every question in that book, when Dr. Barbara's questioning, she has questions for these elephants and for these beautiful whales. It was questions that were exactly running through my thoughts every day for the past 2 months. And then the answers that came were profound. The answers that came were exactly what I needed to hear. And I said, I've got to get in touch with this incredible lady who has written these 2 books. Who is she? She must be so evolved. At that time, I would say, yes, I do believe in animal communication. I do, because I dream a couple of times of dolphins and whales. But I said, this can't be for real. This cannot be for real. Now I get in touch with Dr. Barbara, because you know what? She's easy to get in touch with. She's not such a difficult person. I got in touch with her. She was so humble, so approachable, and we started chatting. It was as though she was just my neighbor, and I invited her. Hey, hello, can you come in? Can you come and have a cup of coffee with me? Let's chat. We started chatting away, and I appreciated how humble she was. But what really struck me was I had expected this huge evolved soul telling me all kinds of things, but she spoke like all of us speak, normal. And that's when I realized, I said to Dr. Barbara, I said, you know what? How did you write all these incredible things in your book? Because you don't speak that way. And that's when I realized, no, there is something to be said about animal communication. She will explain, I will let her explain how she wrote those words down. Where did the wisdom come from? That is incredible. And I have the highest respect for you, Dr. Barbara. I really honor you a lot, because you've written these books through them, for us humans, and it means a lot. So I'm so excited to share our friendship with everybody. Thank you
Thank
for being here. Thank you so much. So that was my story. Now,
I want to correct something. I've been on a spiritual journey for some years now,
yes,
certainly since, well, before I started communicating with animals, which is more than 30 years ago. So I've been doing a lot of personal growth work, emotional clearing, spiritual practice. I do not have a guru like you do, and it's not just Eastern religion that speaks to me, but also um, shamanism, a lot of grounded kind of, indigenous wisdom. So all that stuff I've been involved with. So it wasn't like I came from left field and all of a sudden the animals are teaching me all this stuff. It
right.
was I'd already been in that process. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much for that because it's really astonishing the the knowledge, that and the wisdom. It's not the knowledge, it's mainly, the wisdom. But thank you so much. Now, Dr. Barbara, you have quite a few stories to tell us. And I mean, you went to Africa, you had experiences with elephants in Namibia and their babies at your tent. But I you started with dolphins. Am I correct? Would you
Yes.
like to share that with us, please? Please start that journey.
Yeah, so many years ago, I had never heard of animal communication. I That was not a thing. But I went to Florida in the US and I swam with dolphins and I absolutely fell in love with them. And when I was out of the water and I was sitting in my room, I did some writing. Now, I've been journaling as long as I can remember. Everything comes through my writing, and I'd already been in touch with some of my guides and writing that way. But then I started writing with the dolphins and communicating with the dolphins telepathically, spiritually, however you want to frame it.
Mhm.
And they were so beautiful and so wise, and they told me all this stuff. And so I did that for several years. I swam with dolphins a number of times, some captive dolphins in Florida, and then I went to Hawaii and swam with dolphins in the wild.
Mhm.
Much later, I went to Costa Rica and swam with dolphins. But they were my teachers. I didn't talk about it much because we're talking a long time ago,
Like
over
what year? Around what
the
year?
90s, early to mid 90s, probably. And, people thought that this kind of stuff was just wacko. Animal communication when I started was just so woo-woo and unbelievable. And so I just kept quiet when I was communicating with the dolphins. I didn't talk about it much. And then later when I started looking into holistic veterinary medicine. I had worked in private practice and it just wasn't my thing. So I started looking into holistic medicine for animals. And I went to the American Association of Holistic Veterinarians meeting in Hawaii. And there was an animal communicator. And I'd never heard of such a thing, like I said. And I just knew that was something I wanted to do. I didn't know you could have a profession as an animal communicator and even get paid for it as a career and work with dogs and cats and horses and all that. So that was my first introduction to animal communication. And while I was in Hawaii, I went on a boat one day with a group of people and we went out to see the dolphins. And I just got this message from the dolphins, kind of out of the blue, so to speak. And they said, you need to heal yourself first. Well, I had absolutely no idea what that meant. I thought, well, okay, I'll do a little work for a day or two and then I'm ready to go. But I believe what they meant, and I think this is really important, is that if we want to be authentic and honest when we're speaking with another being or speaking for another being, it's incumbent upon us to do our own healing work because everyone has filters. So the information comes into us through our filters. If we have anger or frustration or sadness or something, the messages can be colored by that.
Yes.
So I think what the dolphins really meant is to be a good communicator with these beings. It was necessary for me to do my own inner work, which I have done for all these years.
Right.
And will never be perfect. As you know, Nita, will never be perfect.
Yeah.
We can do the best we can do and clear a lot of the stuff out of our field so that we are as clear as possible. And so I think that's what the dolphins meant.
That's and then so no, dolphins, I mean they've always been considered very spiritual. But elephants and whales do not get that much credit at the way the dolphins do. So, would you like to tell us about your journey in Africa with the elephants and your experiences with the elephants? Because that's huge.
Yeah. So I had already been writing a book with all different species. I had hundreds of pages. And I took a trip to Africa. I actually lived in Africa for a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
And I did wildlife work while I was there, which was, oh my God, it was just so wonderful. I worked with Cape buffalo and I worked with wild dogs as a veterinarian, as a ethologist studying animal behavior.
Where
Uh,
in Africa? Where in Africa?
Kenya. I lived in Kenya for a
Mm-hmm.
year, but I traveled to Rwanda and Uganda and Tanzania while I was there. And it was the best year of my life. I loved it. But while I was there, of course, I encountered elephants. And like I said, I worked with Cape Buffalo. I worked with a Canadian veterinarian named Lars Karstad and his wife. And we had a veterinary technician who was a locally trained um, person. He was our vet tech, but also our cook. And we went to Masai Mara, which is this fabulous game reserve.
My dream trip. I have yet to do it.
Well, you better do it. Maybe we go together. Anyway, we had this tent in a meadow, and every day we would go out in the Land Rover and we would dart Cape Buffalo with a dart gun, anesthetize them, and then draw blood samples for a disease study. And sometimes it was interesting, to say the least, with these buffalo. But anyway, our tents were in this beautiful meadow, this treed meadow. And every evening, as we sat in our little camp waiting for dinner, and after dinner, maybe 200 elephants would come into this meadow.
God.
And it was just so magnificent. And, there were these huge, big bulls, and they would chase the little cows around. The females are half their size. And the young ones would spar with one another. And it was just, I loved it. I loved them. And my my colleagues would call me the elephant lady because I love the elephants so much. So on our very last night in the Mara, we were just going to leave the next day. I went to my tent and went to bed. I'm sleeping. Early in the morning, before the sun was up, I heard some noises out there. And I looked out my tent. I opened the tent and looked out, and there was this mama elephant with her 3 babies, like large, medium, and small, all with this mama elephant. And she was walking toward my tent. The sun was just coming up. It was just starting to get light. And she was walking toward my tent. And I just got really excited. And I thought, there's no way she's coming to my tent. but she did. And she walked right next to my tent, right past my tent, and deposited her little gloppy pile of present for me, and walked on. Then the big baby came by, the medium baby came by, and this little baby came right up to my tent. And he started playing with the rope that holds the tent up. He had his little trunk around the rope.
Oh
And
my
I was
God.
so excited. I was so
Yeah.
excited. I was just about jumping up and down. And silly me, I got to get a picture of this. So I very quietly went to get my camera, but it was enough to distract the baby. And so the baby walked off, and all of them walked off into the sunrise. I was so elated. So that was my first direct experience with the elephants in Africa. And I just really felt like they had come to say goodbye. It was so sweet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then years later, um, I went to Namibia. This was 2002.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent a month with my friend Betsy, who she worked for the government in Namibia as a elephant and rhino specialist.
Mm-hmm.
And she and I took a trip to Kruger National Park, which is another phenomenal place.
Mm-hmm.
And one evening we were driving back to where we were staying. They have these lodges, and they have gates where they lock the gates so the animals can't come in the middle of the night or anything. So we were out driving that day and coming back for the evening. And as we're driving, there was a herd of female elephants, cows, and their babies, and we stopped for a minute and watched them, on the side of the road. It was very sweet. And then we kept driving, and this huge bull elephant walked right into the road in front of our little truck and stood there. And his ears were going up and down, and he was shifting on his legs, and his trunk was up in the air, and he was clearly surprised and could have been aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
although he wasn't. And Betsy and I had the same mindset where we knew if we send love to this guy and let him know we mean no harm, it would reach him. And it did.
Yeah.
As soon as we sent love to him, the ears came down, he calmed down, and then just walked off the side of the road. So we made it back in time to before they closed the gate on us. And it was a great experience, and I thought this is wonderful. When I got home from Africa, it was right around Christmas time. I just kept feeling the presence of elephants with me, energetically. I just kept feeling it. And so I said, okay, what do you guys want? And they said, we want to write a book. And I said, but I already have a book. I haven't published it yet. I haven't finished it yet, but I've got a book. No, we want to write a book, and we want to go in depth to what we know and not just skim different things. So it took me a while, and I said, okay, let's write a book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did. That's how the book came. And I realized after that this bull elephant, he was like a harbinger of things to come. And I think he just downloaded this elephant consciousness into me so that the book could come about, you know. He was right there with me. So
Incredible.
that's how it started.
Incredible book. I mean, both books are incredible. I would definitely love to, which we are going to do, um, dive into some excerpts of the book because there's some incredible quotes. But just
Okay.
before I do that, Barbara, you see these two beautiful lines behind you?
Yeah.
Who are these incredible, incredible beings? Who are they?
Well, I am in love with Africa, if you couldn't tell already. And gosh, it's almost 3 years ago now. I went to um Africa. I spent time in Botswana that I just loved in the wild. And then I spent a month volunteering at a big cat sanctuary
Mhm.
called Panthera Africa in South
Okay.
Africa.
All right.
They rescue big cats. And these guys, I just fell in love with them. Oliver here is a white lion. Wait, did I point to the
No,
wrong one?
Oliver, yeah,
Oliver is a white lion.
yeah,
His brother Obi is not white, but they were brothers.
yeah,
And um and I just love them. So I got to spend every day with them pretty much, not in the cage, just watching.
right.
And I have this special love for white lions. And years earlier, I had again been to South Africa at another place,
Mhm.
the White Lion Protection Trust, and I had spent time there.
Mhm.
And um, and I met a really, really powerful guide for me. He was called Aslan.
Mhm.
They changed the name to protect him, but he's been an amazing guide for me for many years. So Oliver was just kind of an extension of what I'd experienced with Aslan years ago. They
So,
are so majestic, and they hold and embody this leadership energy. It's not just leader like somebody's above somebody else. They just hold space for everything in their realm, like a wise leader would be. And so their energy is quite powerful. And Linda Tucker, who is the founder and owner of the White Lion Trust, she has a whole class called the uh, a lion, what she call it, lion-hearted leadership
mhm.
program. But that's who they are. So they've been really, really beautiful guides for me.
Absolutely beautiful. And I know, and we're going to talk about that too. I just wanted everyone to know that Barbara also has incredible experiences with whales. She went to Tonga and she had the opportunity to not only swim along them, but she also got wisdom. Again, she wrote about them too in her books. So, you
Yeah.
know, Barbara, before I start again mentioning some things, and I'm going to ask you some questions about the things that were written in both your books, I wanted to tell you there are my experience with reading your books. Three things were very important for me. Yeah,
Okay.
three things.
Yeah.
One was the ability to communicate with animals, interspecies communication, which according to my little limited knowledge means it's not just animals, it's trees, it's living beings, right?
Yeah.
And you have that. But I feel that is what I've been reading about, that animal communication has been looked at as either a pushback or you have to be extremely gifted to communicate with the animals. But I've come to read a lot that actually, and it's communication telepathically, okay? And I've come to read that actually we all do have that in us. We just don't practice it because language came and it was easier to just communicate with language and words. But I wanted people to know that we do have that ability, and it seems that it's not so difficult to learn because it's the language of the heart. It's
Exactly.
emotion. It's the
Yeah.
language of the heart. And we all have a heart. We all have emotions. We vibrate. It's energy. And I think with what you're saying, Dr. Barbara, when you get these downloads, people are thinking, how? How's she writing this? What kind is someone speaking to her in her head? Well, you know what? From the little that I understand, It could come in words, and you can pick up a pen and just write down what you're hearing. It could come visually. It could come um, in very or emotionally. You can feel what the animals are trying to say to you, and I feel it is so important that this generation, because what you don't know. And your mission and my mission, we have something which is in huge alignment with each other. I really feel we're kindred spirits in the sense that we we're not upset or angry about anything what's going on because we feel the most important thing is that to bring awareness. People don't really know. I grew up, Barbara, what in my generation, my parents, the extent of what I learned about animals, they are so beautiful. They're so majestic. Let's go to the zoo. Let's go see them. Oh, let's watch, The Lion King tonight or Free Willy or all that. Yes, those are beautiful. And I grew up, oh, how lovely they are, right? How beautiful they are. Not realizing, wait a second. And I have to tell you, Dr. Barbara, that today we are slowly evolving in an age where this generation is becoming aware of the value of these elephants. It's slow, but they are. These animals, the whales, the dolphins, the birds, the trees. We're hearing everywhere people tree hugging. People are realizing there is an energy, there is a wisdom that they have that we need to understand. They are sentient. They have feelings. We cannot continue um, ignoring that, abusing it, and not making space for them to live in harmony and in peace and in joy and in happiness. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong in this, Dr.
No,
Barbara,
that's
please.
exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's one thing I would like people to know is we all have this capacity, but we're not taught to use it. We're not taught to think about it. If you look at many of the indigenous peoples, that it's just automatic for them. Their connection with the plants, with the animals, with the land, with the water. And we're not taught that way. We're not conditioned that way. And the other thing is, exactly like you said, I get mine through words. That's
Mhm.
just how it works for me. But
Right.
that doesn't mean it's better than if you feel something, or I've always wished I could see things. I don't really see those energies. Or some people feel it in their body, an animal's in pain and they can feel it in their own body. Or some people have dreams where the animals come to them in dreams. There's so many different ways of perceiving. And I think it's important for people who are at all interested in this to learn what's your way, not by comparing it with somebody else, because it's not like one thing is better than another, but just to learn what works for you through experience, through practice. And it does take practice like
Yeah.
any new skill.
Yeah. And children get it faster than adults because children are so less polluted. They have they have less resistance and preconceived ideas and thoughts and experiences, so they're more open to it. But I'm sure all of us here, whoever has pets in their house, can definitely tell you a story about how a story about their experience with their own dog or cat, where they're like, how do you know what I'm going through, or something that they feel this close connection. So um this is what I wanted everyone to know, that don't, previously was thought, oh, you need to go to a special gifted person who has this special ability. We can and we should learn about it, because what you get from it is one thing. I strongly feel it's not only all the wisdom, it's a lot of love. We get
Mhm.
so much love from them.
Yeah, and I think that what's really important more than the words, like the elephants have said in the book, I think you mentioned this, what's most important in the book or with any of these things goes beyond the words. It's that heart connection, it's that spiritual, loving connection.
Right.
And so I think that's important. And sometimes if there's a question, you want to go to somebody that's more experienced than you are, that's had some practice and training and knows what they're talking about.
Right.
And you need to be careful if you go to somebody like that,
Mhm.
that it's somebody who's experienced, who knows what they're doing, and that you resonate with,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
everybody's different. And like I said, we all have our own filters. So it's important to resonate with a person that you're going to trust with this kind of information.
Correct. So what I'd like to ask you is, I want to start with the elephants because I found that really fascinating in your both your books is when you ask them, okay, please tell us what your purpose is on this planet. And again, please continue correcting me if I'm wrong. You have these, you're beautiful, you're big, you have these huge legs, like tree trunks. And what is it that's so special about you? And we as humans, we have this ability, this intellect. So you wrote things about, and I will let you go more deeper into it. You wrote about what the elephants had transmitted to you about their their purpose, not
Right.
not their mission, their purpose with their walking and everything.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. I kind of see it as their purpose and their mission. And they talked
Okay.
about their intent. And if you start studying, especially shamanism or some of the spiritual things, intent is really powerful.
Mhm.
Intent is what you intend to do, and you're going to do it, and it's focus, and that's your purpose, your mission, whatever. Our intent is to stabilize and harmonize the energy of planet Earth, bringing peace and well being for all life forms, including the Earth herself. As we walk, our footsteps send out energy. This energy carries out our intent to create peace and stabilization. And because we are large and our energy is even larger due,
Mhm.
the, due to the dynamics of the group energy of our extended families,
Mhm.
this effect carries far beyond our direct physical sphere of influence. It projects outward like waves to all points of the globe, stabilizing, harmonizing, and grounding energy everywhere. Once people realize and know in the depths of their being that we are all one loving family, that we are all interconnected and related energetically, there will be peace on earth. It cannot be otherwise.
I thought that was powerful. Um, Once we understand this, 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 it seems, oof, we have to know a lot of things to understand to get peace on earth. There's not a lot of things to understand. It's just we need to understand how we're just connected. We are all interconnected. We all
Yeah.
have the same energy running through us, supporting this this consciousness. And how can we do it? Through love, through a lot of love and connection. Um, Now, there's also sound. They make they make sounds. I want to understand the power of their sound. It's because here. So I don't know if I'm going to read the same thing that you just said, but this is what was written. Our energy is also okay. So it's how they are distributed through our um, footfalls, but the sound that they make, it's not only the vibrations that they make on the earth, but the sounds they vocalize sounds through trumpeting, squealing, rumbling, grunting, as well as infrasound. Our energy is dispersed throughout the land, and it can reach far because in the field of energy, I won't go too deep in it because it's maybe our viewers, there might be some that might find this a little too much, but the the energy flows everywhere. And so when you talk about this, is this, Dr. Barbara, what we are doing today, this generation is doing today with sound healing by healing ourselves and listening to certain vibrations that we find on YouTube, and this sound is supposed to calm your vagus nerves, or this sound is supposed to, is this the same thing what the elephants are doing and we're not even aware and conscious of it, and they're just, is this you feel that they're doing?
And I'm sure that's a big part of it. There's a woman named Joyce Poole who's been studying elephants for probably 50 years in Africa. And she's got a whole vocabulary of all these sounds and what they mean to one another. Um, and I think there is a lot to their vibration, like they rumble a lot. Um, but what they talked about mostly in terms of their sound was their infrasounds. Infrasounds are sounds below the range of human hearing. It's beyond below what we can hear. They're deep resonant sounds, and they transmit those sounds energetically. Um, some of it's through their sounding, through their the sounds they make. Some of it's through their footfalls, and as they walk on the earth, they're transmitting these infrasounds through the earth, and it goes for miles, kilometers, and they've told me they have sensors in their trunks, in their feet. Some of it goes all the way through their bones, where they can hear the sounds of distant elephants with, from their infrasounds. And they can detect elephants from miles away and know, is it a large group, a small group? Is it just a single bull? Are there babies? Are they angry? Are they not angry? I mean, they detect all this stuff. And you may remember when that tsunami hit in
Yes.
in Asia, when
Yeah.
2014, I think it was. And there are many, many stories of the elephants going upland because they sensed when the tsunami was coming. They're so much more in touch with the earth. And some of that is the infrasounds that are made not just by elephants, but other animals, other large animals make these sounds. Earthquakes make these sounds. They're just these deep sounds that travel within the earth or through the air, and we don't hear them,
No,
but they're there,
they're there.
you know.
They're there. Um, Again, what I wept a lot when I read your book, and I'm not a crybaby, but you turned me into one that week. I mentioned that to you. Why did I suddenly cry a lot? Because again, I tell everyone, please, you can get her books on Amazon, and we will send the links about how to get her book. What I felt, what I got out of both her books, which are incredible, and why did I cry? Of course, I cried for the elephants, how we have been sort of ignoring them, to say the least. We won't go into details because that's very painful, but yes, I cried about that. I cried because of the words of wisdom that were like, it was like a soothing balm
Mm.
on all my pain that I was going through in 2 months. And what was it? They taught me seriously how to forgive. And it's very easy. It's very easy when people tell you, let it go, move on, forgive. When you forgive, you're doing it for yourself, and all that. It's easy, but when it comes from another species that lives among us, who has been not treated with the respect that it deserves, and they are able to forgive and continue loving us. That to me meant a lot. And it's so, so special. I'm saying the elephants, but it's all of them. It's the birds, the lions, the rhinos, it's all of them. Now you wrote also about the whales. Would you like to tell us your story with your experience of the whales? Because they also come with their own wisdom and energy. They're also their own energy that is helping us, this this whole consciousness that we're all part of. We want to become more aware, Barbara. And through your books, you're with the awareness factor, that light bulb is coming up, our eyes are opening. So can we talk a bit about the whales? What happened there?
So I was writing this first book with the elephants merrily along for months and months, and all of a sudden the elephants said to me, "We're going to leave for a little while so another species can come in." And I said, "Okay." I had no idea what. And it was the whales. So the whales wanted to speak. And what I learned from the whales is that they serve basically the same function that the elephants do on the earth, where energetically they're helping to harmonize, stabilize, and balance the energy of the earth. The elephants, through walking on the land, the whales in the water, working with what they called the grid lines of the earth. And that's their function. That's part of their function. But the other function is really to spread love and peace throughout the world for all beings, So they're creating this peace that we're so wanting, but all this negative energy that humans have been pouring into everything, it's hard to counteract some of that. Anyway, that's who the whales are. And so in that way they're very similar to the elephants. They're all large, powerful beings. But they're different, is what
Yes.
I've learned.
Yes. Tell us about the difference.
Yeah, the elephants to me are extremely emotional, passionate beings. And they do have a lot of emotion, huge love. They've got huge hearts. And you can see that in the way they care for their babies and the way they interact with one another in the herd. But they also can get quite angry, and they've talked about that, The other side of the gentleness and the love is the anger. And sometimes that's expressed physically, and they can be dangerous. Now, the whales, to me, are not as emotional. They can be certainly emotional. I'm not saying they're not. But theirs is what I would call this vast energy. They talked in the book a lot about what they call the void. And I didn't know what the void meant at first, so they had to tell me about it. And the void is what I now see as spirit. It's the unseen spiritual realms. And they said that the void is where all creation occurs, all healing occurs, everything is contained within it, and yet it seems like empty space. So there's this dichotomy of everything and nothing. And they say that the ocean is like the void because it's the same. It's so enormous and dark, and it's like there's nothing, but it's teeming with life. So they talked a lot about the void space and how if we can actually enter that void and be comfortable with it, it's like being comfortable in the dark or comfortable with our shadow self. It's very nurturing and healing and life supporting and helps us with our own spiritual evolution. So they talk a lot about that. And they're just such, they have connection with other beings from other realms. They're just this vast wisdom. It's just so deep and loving and pure. That's to me who the whales are.
I want to take a moment because everything you just described, I'm feeling it because, and I'm imagining because I'm a visual person. Um, Dr. Barbara, with your experiences with being swimming this close among the whales, and I even asked you, weren't you afraid that you would be there at dinner? And you said, no, no, Nita, I wasn't afraid. And I know you're going to share pictures and little videos with us. Um, you know, um, all this with the whales, the elephants, and you said many, and lions and many other animals you have. What is there something that you want to say if you were the voice right now, which you are for them right now, what do you want to say to all of us here what concerns the animal kingdom and the marine life? What do you want to say about them?
Mm, I think what they would say is most important for human beings to know is how critically essential it is for us to connect with nature and to connect with our own souls, our own highest self, however you want to call that. I call it the soul. And because there's so much love and higher wisdom, we operate from so much input all the time. We're just overly stimulated and we're worrying about this and that. And then there's money and there's so much violence here. But if we can get truly in touch with our own soul and our own inner guidance, not just our personal guidance from our soul, but we have many beings working with us all the time. And when we can get in touch with that, as I've been learning and really trust it, everything changes. And then we can take action to heal ourselves, to heal others, to heal the earth, not from a place of frantic activity and anger and frustration, but from a place of true love. And when we can tune into that level of wisdom and discernment, anything's possible. But we're so removed from that in our societies that we've lost it. And what I've learned is that the communication with the animals that I do is no different from communicating with another human being at that level, communicating with angels, with nature spirits, with our own guides, with all life, with Pachamama, Mother Earth. It's all the same because there is, from my perspective and what I've seen with the animals, there's one consciousness. And we're all part of it. We're little different aspects of it. And each of us, each different animal species has its own form that enables it to carry a certain energy, but that we're all different and yet we're all intimately connected. And there is no separation. And like I've said in the book, there's no hierarchy of souls from what I can see. It's not like we're better than somebody else. And if we can really get that, I think everything would change here. And I believe that's what the animals would want to say. And like you said, They're very forgiving. If you look at the way we've killed whales, it's just atrocious. And it still goes on. But they love us, because they're operating from that higher perspective. And if we can get there, which we can, it changes everything.
Really does. Barbara, I know how, but I want you to explain to us, how can we get more of you? How can we get more of this wisdom? You have a wonderful podcast that you're running with your amazing partner Avantika Mathur, and she is. You both are what I've been listening to your podcast, and I love it. Will you talk to us a little bit about this amazing podcast of yours?
Sure. So Avantika and I have been doing this podcast coming on 3 years now. And I love Avantika. She's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of do the talking and we commiserate on everything, but she's the workhorse. She does everything. She does the editing, she posts it, she does the news. I mean, she just does everything.
And she's
And
doing a great job. I love it. I love
does a
watching
great
the
job.
podcast. Yeah.
She does
And
a
it's
great
not easy. It's not easy to do that.
Yeah, she just told me today, I spoke with her earlier. She said what she's learned is that many podcasts go under after 5 to 7 episodes. They just can't sustain it. But we've been there for 3 years and we're going strong. And we've had the most amazing guests that we've interviewed. It's not necessarily, we've had some really well known people, but we've had some people that nobody would know who they are, but they're doing fascinating work with animals, and it's all about consciousness and sentience and all that kind of thing. It's called Animals and Us, Voices of a New Paradigm. And the new
Love
paradigm is about consciousness and understanding what that really means and honoring the animals for who they are. So that's the podcast. And what's very exciting is Avantika just moved to Belgium. She lived in Canada, and she's doing a PhD program on intuitive interspecies communication. And she and her colleagues will be interviewing animal communicators as well as indigenous people. The indigenous people, they see the animals as our relatives, they honor them in that way. And so she's going to be researching that. And I think that this program, it's huge and it's fabulous. I think that program is going to help our understanding
Mm-hmm.
of the importance, the significance, the legitimacy of truly connecting with animals and plants and all beings.
That's,
So that's very exciting.
that's incredible. But you're still going to continue working
Yeah,
with her, even though so the podcast is still going strong.
yeah.
Avantika, just from Canada, she'll be with Dr. Barbara in Belgium. So that's, but I love your podcast. I think the important thing is the content. What I get out of it, every person you interview, and it's interesting. I always come away from it saying, wow, 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 and thank you. Now, Avantika is off to her new adventure. Would you like to share with us what you're planning to do now? So you have 2 books out already, which I'm going to let our viewers know where to get them, because they are the kind of books that you read slowly or fast, depends on what you want, but the wisdom in it is incredible, and these are keepers. So it's not the kind of books you buy and you say, okay, I'm done with it, and just donate to a library. It's something you keep in your house forever and ever. Mine is under, highlighted each page. That's And then we also have the Barbara Shore website, and I'm putting links to Dr. Barbara's podcast. But what are you doing now? Where are you going now? Anything you want to share with us?
Sure. I've been, well, first of all, It's not real public yet, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time. But I have a group of people that we've been going 2 years now. We met at a symposium through University of Saskatchewan.
Oh,
There were two symposia through the university for 2 different years. Not this year, but the previous year and the year before. Avantika was the organizer for this thing, and it was all animal communicators from all over the world. And in that group, in that symposium, there was a group for veterinarians. And I was part of that group, and we had animal communicators and veterinarians that just got together to talk, you know. And from that, I continued it. We've got a group going now. We've got a core group of maybe less than 10 people, and we've met for 3 years, 2 years, and our whole mission is to help educate animal professionals, not just people with their pets so much, but animal professionals, whether that's veterinarians or trainers or whatever it is, support them in their work because it's not easy work, but also help them go to a deeper spiritual level with the animals, understanding animals in that way. So we're going to come out with it sometime soon, but we're still working on the details. But the other thing is, my next book is a memoir. And I've been working on this thing for years in different forms, but I just want to get it done now. I've got a lot of stories. It's all animal stories.
I can't
that
wait to read it. I can't wait
Yeah.
because after having read both your books coming from you, I think there's a lot more that you're going to share in the memoirs, a lot more, and I really treasure the words you put down on paper, in
Thank
whichever way they come to you. I treasure them. They are nuggets of, like I said, they're just incredible. Talking about spirit that you just said, um, there was something, would you like to lead a small meditation with us? Was that something that you wanted to do with us? A
Sure.
prayer?
We talked about my experience with whales, right? So I could tell that story and then lead people into a meditation so
I
maybe
would
they can
love,
experience the whales too.
I would love that.
Okay.
I've never done this before with someone where I'm
No?
led. Well, I do my practice of meditation, but I've never ever experienced where well, we're gonna see what this is. This I'm excited. So with an animal, no, I've never experienced that.
Oh, cool. This is great. Okay.
Okay.
So
Everyone, so how does everyone prepare for this? If they just sit down and
I'm going to tell the story first and then I'll have you close your eyes and get comfortable and stuff. But I want to tell the story so you get the context, okay?
thank you.
So, 2007, I had written my first book. And I always wanted to swim with whales, but the whales told me not to be with them while I was writing the book. I mean, I still doesn't make 100% sense, but they said to wait till I was done with the book, that if I had that really strong personal emotional connection with them, it might interfere with the information I was receiving for the book. So after I finished the book, I went to Tonga, which is in the Pacific, and it's I think it's several hundred miles from New Zealand. It's way out there, you know. And it's one of two places in the world that I know of where you can actually get in the water with the whales legally. So I went and I spent 2 weeks on a boat every day with two different groups of people, and we went out to swim with the whales because people had swum with whales there before, but it wasn't happening. And I get seasick, so every day I was a little sick on the boat, but I wanted to do it. So 2 weeks we're not swimming with the whales. We would see the whales, but the minute we would try to get in the water, they'd swim away. I found out later that there had been scientists there studying them and darting them and this and that, and they just didn't want to be around people particularly. So they were kind of avoiding us. So on the very last day of this that I was with the group, it was a free day, and we had the option of whether to get in the water or go on the boat or not. But before that, the night before, I was so frustrated and angry. I mean, it's no easy task to get to Tonga. It's a huge trip, with planes and boats and you name it. It's not an easy trip. And I had gone there because I felt like the whales were going to be with me. I'd just written this whole book about them. And I thought, well, the least you can do is honor your promise to be with me. And I was really upset. And so what I did is I got in this little kayak in the bay at the base of the ocean by myself in the afternoon. And I went out there for probably a couple hours by myself. And I was just really upset. I said, if you want me to write this book, something needs to shift. And, I was being my little ego, petty self. And I was so mad and I was screaming. And I said, okay, I came all this way. There's no whales. It's probably not even true. I'm just not even going to put the book out. And I really meant it. I was so pissed off and so upset.
I can
So
imagine.
after a couple hours, I came back. It was already dark, and I'd missed dinner, and I had a little food, and I went to bed. The next day, I woke up, and I was like a different person. The sun was out. We'd had so much cloudy, yucky weather, and the sun was out. It was a gorgeous day. And I thought, you know what? I completely let go of my need to be with a whale in the water. I really did. I was just done.
Mhm.
And I thought, you know what? It might be nice just to go out on the boat and relax for a day.
Incredible.
So I went on the boat. There were a number of us on the boat. And we encountered this mother whale with her baby swimming right next to the boat. The baby was jumping out of the water, and it was just so beautiful. And I thought, you know what? I had asked for a sign that I was in the right place, and that was it. This beautiful mama and her baby just jumping out of the water. But we didn't get in. It just wasn't right to get in with them. About I don't know, 10 minutes later, we hear the captain of the boat, and he says, get your gear on, we're going in the water. And there was a mother whale with her baby, and there had been another boat there. There's a limited time when you can be with the whales, and they had had their fill, and they were with this mother whale, and she stayed there. And so we got to go in the water with her. And I got in the water 3 different times. We did small groups, for short periods. And I got in the water with this mother whale and her baby 3 different times. And each time I got closer to her face, to her head, and the baby was up and down. The babies need more air than the mothers. So the
Yeah.
mother just cruising, just slowly, slowly. And her
Oh,
huge fins, they're like up and down very slowly, like fans, and the baby's kind of bobbing up and down by her head. And it was extraordinary. It was I was so excited that I was just jumping up and down and crying and laughing. It was just so beautiful.
I can
And
imagine.
after that, I wrote to the mother whale, and she's been with me for all these years. She's just so
Oh,
beautiful and
wow.
wise. I called her Mother Whale. She's in the book. I wrote
Yeah,
some stuff.
yeah. I have
Yeah.
goosebumps hearing it. You tell it. You tell me about it. I'm having goosebumps. How
Oh,
beautiful. How
yeah, I
beautiful.
just adored her. There is a whole piece in the book. We could read it later if you want. But
Mhm.
what I thought I'd do is I'd do a little meditation where we go see the whales. Maybe it's this mother whale, maybe it's her baby that people would encounter.
That's good.
Doesn't matter. And some people say that looking into the eye of a whale is like looking into the eye of God. It's just an amazing experience.
You know
And
who said that? Sorry to interrupt, but you know who said that to me is he is an award-winning photographer of
uh,
National Geographic,
uh-huh,
Andrea Izzotti. He's Italian, and
uh-huh.
I think I introduced him to you.
Hmm.
And his passion, just like you, but he doesn't communicate with animals. He just takes the most beautiful photographs. And there's one that he took of the eye of the whale.
Uh-huh.
And it's like what you just said, that's what he said too. It's incredible, you
Yeah,
know? Your
yeah, yeah. So what I would like to do is, if you're comfortable, close your eyes and get really, really comfortable wherever you are, whether you're sitting or lying down. We're going to do just a short little meditation. And I ask that you take a really deep breath into your belly, breathe in, and then let it out very slowly. And do that again where you're letting go of any of the tension or stress from the day. Just let it all go when you breathe out. And feel your body relaxing more and more and more. And another breath or two, deep breath in, and let it out slowly, letting out any kind of fear or anxiety or sadness. And let yourself be present. And I ask that you feel the bottoms of your feet, whether your feet are on the ground or not. Just feel the bottoms of your feet, and let there be these wonderful um, roots or cords going into the earth, deep into the middle of the earth, our beautiful Mother Earth, and sending your energy down, down through your feet, and maybe through the base of your spine, another another root there going down into the earth, so that you're really, really grounding into the earth. And allow her beautiful energy to come up through those roots into your feet, into your spine, and feel the magnificence of our Mother Earth coming up into your body. And then notice that energy going up through your legs. Feel it in your calves and your knees, up through your thighs and into your pelvis. And then feeling that energy in your belly with all the organs inside, just letting the light and the love coming from the energy move up into your belly and up into your heart, so that there's this earth energy full of light and love and peace and joy filling your heart. And now notice the top of your head. And there's a crown chakra there, and you can let that open up and allow in the energy of the higher beings, the spirit realms. Just let that kind of light from the heavens come down through the top of your head into your face, letting your whole face relax so that your eyes are relaxed, no wrinkles. And your mouth is not puckered, but it's just very soft and smooth. You might even open your mouth a little bit and let your jaws relax. And notice your ears, and then down into your neck. And let your whole neck relax, bringing that energy into your neck and then into your shoulders. We tend to hold a lot of tension in our neck and shoulders, so just let that go. And then find the energy moving down through your hands and out your fingertips. And then go back into your chest with that energy from the spirit realms moving down into your chest and into your heart and intermingling with the energy that's there from the earth so that there's this beautiful light, this golden light that's flooding your heart and your whole being with love and with light. And I'm going to call in our souls, our very own souls. We can each call in our soul and our personal divine guides and angels that want to be with us. And I ask the higher beings for protection. Archangel Michael and the other angels, please keep us safe, create this beautiful bubble of light around us, allowing in only love. Anything in our field that is not love, please take it from us now and take it back to source so that we are protected, we are grounded, we're in a space of divine love. So now when you're in this space, I ask that you go with me on this boat in Tonga. And it's not a real big boat, but it's a sweet boat. And we're out in the middle of the ocean, all of us together on this boat. And we're cruising the ocean. And the sun is out, the temperature is just perfect. And the water is smooth. And we can see Tonga in the distance. Tonga is like this island paradise. It's just gorgeous. But we're out in the water. And we notice that there's whales, these huge humpback whales surrounding the boat. And many of them are mothers with babies. And there's this sense of joy that we're feeling, that the whales are feeling. And there's this beautiful, deep connection that we have with these magnificent beings. And they want to connect with us. They really do. They are fascinated by us as human beings, and they want to connect with us, and they want to share their wisdom. So I'm going to give you a moment, and you can invite a whale or a group of whales, whether it's a mother, a baby, or the whole group, to be with you now. You don't have to have words. You don't have to have anything. I just want you to feel your heart open and connect with their hearts and see how that feels. And now if one of those whales or some of those whales have come to you, just really take a good look and see what they look like. Maybe you need to look into the eye of the whale, or maybe just sense their presence. And you can ask if they have a particular message for you. If there's nothing, that's fine. The most important part is the connection. But if there is a message, open your mind, open your heart. Try not to worry about anything. Just don't even need to understand. Just let it come through, whatever that might be. Now there's something else you might ask. You can ask for a direct answer, or it may be a feeling, or it may come later. Ask these whales, how can I, in my life, be more intimately connected with the animals in the natural world? What's mine to do to deepen this connection. So when you feel ready, you can thank the whales. Thank them for their presence. Thank them for their presence on this planet and all the loving energy that they hold for us and for the whole planet, all the wisdom they're here to share. Just thank them for being with you. And now you can see them go off. And you're finding yourself back in the boat, just sitting in the boat. And the boat goes back to the shore and we get off. And then you find yourself wherever you are now in present time. And I ask now that we release the energy of the whales and come back into our own fields and let them go their way with our blessings. And whenever you're ready, let yourself feel yourself sitting in your chair or lying down wherever you are. You might wiggle your fingers and toes and let yourself come back into your body. And when you're ready, open your eyes. So I wish I could talk to you all and see what you found. I would love to know if you had any kind of experience, but you know, if you did, maybe you want to write it down and just hold it in your heart.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This was incredible. I felt a lot, which I will write down, and I want to end this incredible visit that we have with this, because I'm sure the viewers that have just now practiced and gone into this journey with you, I would like to leave them with these beautiful thoughts, beautiful energy. I can't thank you enough for sitting down with all of us and giving giving us this incredible time. This was a very, oof, very beautiful, peaceful, and you did it so well. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. My
You
pleasure.
are, you are gifted. This is not something we all can do. The voice, the tone, the speed, the way you transmit it and put us into that vibration, that frequency, what you just did, that is a gift. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all your support, Nita. You've been amazing. Really, you know, you put a book out, and I'm not really good at marketing myself. I don't promote myself very well, but you've been just so supportive and excited about my books and my work, and it's just such a gift. It really is.
Well, you know, it's also, I mean, what you do for me, and most importantly is your voice. You know, your writings and what you're doing for all us, you know, humans on this planet, where we all just want we want one thing. You know, we can say love, no stress. This, we just want one thing. We just want love, and you are reminding us again and again through the words of these incredible animals, that it's actually right here. We don't have to go so far. Thank you. I know there are so many quotes that I wanted to share. We will have to do that another time. I think right now, this what we're all feeling right now, all of us is is a lot. It's enough. It's just beautiful. It's the most beautiful way to, you know, continue on with our day. Barbara, thank you. And we all want to see you soon. And we wish you, you know, a lot of love and a lot of guidance in your next journey with this incredible memoir, because I know it's going to be not only insightful, and knowing you who are so humble, you never talk about yourself, but through your memoirs, you have a mission to teach us, or at least, bring awareness to it, for what's going on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye.